welcome again our dear friends, our YouTube audience in other social media platforms. This is Nyatanga, speaker and director of the Show Me God Ministries. I am talking to Sister Williams, a maid servant of the Lord. We have served the Lord for many years, and I hope you have enjoyed the earlier episodes. Now we are going to hear more testimonies from our dear sister. Tauya zvitete Williams.
Uyai.
Tauya kuti mutitaurire munhu waMwari kuti basa rakafamba sei kubva 1915 kwamatauro uko. Tatenda nenhoroondo yamatipa kusvikira pakuoperatwa kwenyu. Mwari achikumutsai manzi mafa. What a powerful testimony. Now from there, Sister Williams, what would you like to tell us? You are operated, you are up now. Your experiences with the Lord and how you have been viewing God's work in the church up to this day.
He did die. In fact, the doctor had ordered the municipal cemetery to prepare a grave for me. He was so sure that I would not survive.
A grave? He ordered that they
my
prepare a
grave
grave
was dug, and I've never occupied it.
It's too empty up to this day.
Up to this day. So I praise God. It's by His grace alone that I can speak to you. Unfortunately, with the operation, they severed my vocal cords, and there is a scar tissue that has grown over them. And for many years, I could not speak above a whisper. I could only whisper. And then when the Lord called me into teaching, I, first of all, like I tried this afternoon, no, Lord, you know I can't do it. I can't speak. I don't have a voice. There's no ways I can be a teacher. The Lord pressed the matter. He said, if you love me, you will go and do what I ask you to do. So I ended up teaching some subjects at Lower Guelo Mission.
Where did you teach? Which school? Mission school?
I started at Lower Guelo Mission.
Lower Guelo Mission.
And I taught college subjects. But then, and I thought I could cope with that. Then I went to Anderson School and later on to the primary school in Harare, church school, on the primary level. And I battled because my voice was not loud enough to deal with the smaller children.
I understand.
So I begged the Lord. I said, Lord, I can't do this. It's too much for me. I cannot cope. And then the Lord said, go. So I said, well, I will go, but you will have to give me what I don't have. And then instead of whispering, the Lord gave me enough voice to be able to teach, to communicate. And for 40 years, I've worked as a teacher.
Wow.
I taught mostly high school.
In our mission school,
Seventh-day
Adventist school.
Seventh-day Adventist schools.
So you've put a lot of time in the service of the Lord. 40 years is not a joke.
Absolutely. And then, as I say, for 20 years I taught at Anderson School. And I've got people now. Elder Moyo, that took camp meeting here, was one of my students.
Really?
Sister Swahibo was one of my students at Anderson School. There are many of them that come to me now and say, do you remember I was a student?
So you're a student?
Yes.
Nice.
And I praise God that I've been able to have some input into the lives of these young people.
Praise the Lord.
Who are not so young anymore.
Yes, 40 years in ministry is not a joke.
And so, well, my husband was serving the Lord before that, but I was just looking after my children before that. And then I went into actual teaching myself.
Can I take you back a little while?
Yes, please.
You said you were accompanying your grandpa when he was preaching when you were 5 years old. Do you recall the places that you visited, that you went? with your granny, and what did you observe in these
All right.
preaching tours and things like that? Any testimonies?
Yes. Well, when I came onto the scene, Grandpa and Granny had retired. They were living on the farm, and his mission service was basically behind him. They were serving in what is now Zambia at Rusango Mission during the flu epidemic. And
what year was that? Flu epidemic?
1918, 1919.
It's terrible, eh?
Yes.
Flu epidemic.
Many people died. And the students and the teachers, everybody at Rusango Mission got sick. Granny and one of the other pastors' wives looked after all the sick students and the sick teachers, and by God's grace brought them through that very serious flu. Grandpa was one time sent up to the Congo. It was the Congo in those days.
Did you go with him there?
No,
This time you didn't
that
know.
was before.
Okay.
As I say, during the time when he was in full-time mission service, before he retired. Then they opened up what was later Songa Mission, with Songa Mission Hospital. It was my grandfather and Elder Straw that went to the chief and asked him for ground to make the mission. And the chief said, yes, if you go and shoot me an animal.
Okay.
So he went and shot the makudu or something.
Bring me a kudu and I'll give you the land to build.
So they brought it back for him, and he gave them the ground that is now Songa.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So these pioneers did a lot of work that we, the present generation,
You
must
are-
appreciate
You are benefiting from
from
their
their
labor.
labors.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
they did that, and but then the part that I remember is after he retired, when my granny developed diabetes, and they had gone through the depression. They had no salary. They were working self-supporting.
Self-supporting ministry.
Yes.
Wow.
And then that's when I used to accompany him when I was about 4 or 5 years old and older.
As a self-supporting minister.
And because he went out every Sabbath, every weekend, preaching, and I would go with him.
Do you remember the places where you went with your
Well, it was around where our farm was, which is 20 miles out of...
radius of your
Yeah,
farm?
there was Ngomohuru, there was Mafuba Mission, there was... he used to go down Neshura and Nyatanga,
All those
and
places.
all of those
You
places.
remember those?
I
Nyatanga,
remember those names.
Shuro, and the like.
Yes. So then, anyway, when during those years, my father transferred to Chiredzi side, got a ranch down there, and I was 11 when we moved down there. So, and then soon after that, my granny died. Grandpa then moved down to stay with us, and he opened up that whole from Masvingo, Zaka, down to the Sabi border of Mozambique, right down there. He was
Evangelized that
he
place.
evangelized that area, and he took care of all the schools in that area.
Excellent. He was a committed man.
Oh, he was committed.
Wow, I
to
wish we could have that type of commitment
Then-
in our day.
Then when he was working down in that area, there was a young man by the name of Johan. I don't remember his other name, but Grandpa worked with him, and he became an evangelist. So between Grandpa, now who is now truly retired, and Evangelist Johan, they opened up all that work in that
And planted churches.
and planted churches,
And baptized
schools, baptized members, everything. Then
And you said they were self-supporting.
he was self-supporting right up until he died.
What a
As I
commitment.
said, he used to run chickens and things. Of course, after he retired, the church came back with a little bit of a sustentation.
Okay,
But it was a very small one. He didn't
Yeah.
get very much. But
insignificant.
he lived with my dad and family, and they took care of him. But while he was down there, I want to tell you two more experiences, and then I will be finished. The one time he was to preach at an effort, and that one I think it was either Nashua or that side, down towards the White Bridge side, when he had decided to go that particular day. There was something wrong with his old Chevy van, and there was a garage in Masringo called the Map Garage, with Mr. Girdleston, who was a friend of my grandfather's. He had checked the car. He said, no, you need spare parts. So Grandpa said, well, order them, because I have an appointment. I've got to have my car by such and such a date. He gave a date and the time, because my meeting starts that evening. So every day he went in to see if the parts had arrived. And Mr. Girdleston would say, sorry, Mr. Stockill, I have not been able to get the parts for you yet, but try tomorrow. And it was getting nearer to the time that he had to go. So Grandpa came there. Now it was the day to leave, and the car was still not ready. So Grandpa goes in there. He says, Mr. Girdleston, I need those parts today. So he says, no, I've already sent to the station, the railway station, to see if your parts have arrived. They had not arrived. My messenger came back and said nothing. Grandpa says, I want you to send him again, because they are there now, because I have to be at these meetings tonight.
Praise the Lord.
So he says, they won't be there because I've already sent. But if you say I must send, I'll send it anyway, just to satisfy you. The messenger came back with the parts.
Really?
They put them in the car, and Grandpa took off, and he was there in time for his meeting that night. So that was an absolute faith exercise right up to the last minute. And then